right, so we're gonna work a modified side control, and we're gonna use this to create a transition that opens up our partner's neck for an attack. So when I'm playing this modified side control, I'm thinking about his opposing shoulder and the near hip. I'm thinking of an X here. So there's a line from the near shoulder to the far hip and the near hip to the far shoulder. So that's the X. I'm not going to be here traditional side control. I'm actually going to take my hip and I'm going to place it on top of his hip, and I'm going to aim my head for the other end of the X here. So I'm angling this way. Okay, I have a very wide base. I'm on my toes with my extended leg, my other foot's posted, and I'm here. Okay, I'm not trying to hold him tightly. What I'm doing is I'm clamping his hip with my right elbow, and I have this under his head so I can use the shoulder to direct him, or I could get a grip and turn his face if I needed to. Now the whole point of this position is actually to create movement and to create a transition. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to feel for when Justin starts trying to move, to put his knee in between us to recover his guard. So go ahead and move a little bit. As I feel like I'm losing the position, I'm going to swim my arm to the other side and drop my hip next to his face. So now I'm diagonal facing the far hip here. I've got the arm over his head. This arm's going to come back and block the near hip. Now, having this arm down like this with me over the top of it, as opposed to having my elbow in the armpit, if I was here, I don't have the same openings. I want this arm out of the way, just like this. Once I achieve this, I'm going to switch back and drive my elbow. Okay, I already have the arm in place now for the choke. From here, I'm holding under his arm up to the tricep. I've got the collar. I'm going to bring the material into his neck as I do this. Material to his neck, not just pressuring the forearm. Cinch the material. Elbow down, hip drops. I'm maintaining this diagonal position. I'm going to crawl towards his head as I'm widening my elbow. The reason I'm holding underneath the arm is so he cannot retract this shoulder. If he can retract this shoulder, he will negate the choke. Once again, diagonal side control, hip to hip, not trying to hold my partner tightly. I actually want him to start moving. When he starts moving and I feel like I may be losing the position, go ahead and move a little bit. Swimming the arm, hip and ribs to the face, swimming over, blocking the near hip. His arms are out of the way. Find the collar, boom. Once I find the collar, I cinch that material to his neck. I drop the hip and the elbow. Now my body is going to drive my arm towards his head as I crawl with my hip and gently widen my elbow. After I've made this transition, I'm going to look to drive my elbow back to make Justin look towards me and open up his neck. As I'm doing this, I'm also grabbing underneath his tricep so I can lift up on his arm to prevent him from tucking his shoulder back. So this arm is driving back. I am hooking my thumb in the lapel, grabbing on the outside with the 4 fingers, cinching the material into his artery. Now my elbow is going to come down. The rest of my wrist cuts off the artery on the bottom side. My hip is going to drop. My entire body is going to drive behind my own arm. I'm using my arm as a frame, and I'm creeping sideways as I widen the elbow and get the tap.